Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. So we have been talking about ahaṅkara, and then we saw that ahaṅkara has to be removed through atma-vicāra, and that should be undertaking after purifying the mind and focusing the mind through the control of senses, karma yoga and upasana. And atma-vicāra should be done through Guru Shastra Upadesha, Sahayena, through the teachings of the scriptures under the guidance of a qualified teacher. Now continuing, verse number 31. Maunena majjan-manasā svamūla, maunena majjan-manasā svamūla, carcaiva satyātma-vicāraṇaṁ syāt, carcaiva satyātma-vicāraṇaṁ syāt, eṣo'hametanna mama svarūpaṁ, eṣo'hametanna mama svarūpaṁ, ite pramā satyvicāraṇāṅgam, ite pramā satyvicāraṇāṅgam. Again, atma-vicāra is the focus in this verse as a means of ahaṅkara mityātva nishchaya, determining that ego is only an illusion. So here another sadhana is highlighted. In the previous verse, two sadhanas, preparations of prana nirodha and vak nirodha. We talked about that the earlier previous verse. Now here, mano nirodha, mind control, mastery over mind, or what we know as shamaha. That is the topic in this verse. Last verse it was dhamaha. Dhamma, shama, you're all familiar with this, but that is what he is presenting here. So now, shamaha, he calls it maunena, through silence. Silence is twofold. One is the gross silence of organ of speech. Then there is a higher, subtler, and more important silence. That is the mental silence. See, there is a lot of emphasis on this silence, and people go for silence retreat, where you don't talk to anybody for a whole week. And when you take up that kind of retreat, you will find how difficult it is. Physically, you don't speak. The mouth does not utter any sound. But I tell you, those of you who have tried that, you will know. To keep that mind in silence, to silence that chatter, so difficult. The wandering mind cannot listen to the teacher. Even if you don't go to this silent retreat, even sitting in class, if you let the mind wander, you had it. When the teacher says tatvamasi, the student is looking at a crack in the wall, or he hears a sound of a car outside whizzing past. Immediately attention is drawn to that. Teacher says, the Guru says tatvamasi, that upadesha is gone. Teacher is telling you your nature is happiness. And right at that moment, the thought comes, I hope My son who is taking this exam today, very important exam. I hope he doesn't fail that exam. Gone. Then you begin how to wonder how I can be that happiness. You are miserable at that time. So there is this problem, this communication gap. So your mauna means you should be very focused on every word of the teacher. So maunena, with a quiet, calm, silent mind, majjan-manasā, the mind totally immersed in the teacher's teaching. That mind should be dead to the surroundings. Such a mind is required. This type of silent mind, this is what is needed at the time of Shravana. You listen. You should have such a quiet mind. If it is there, liberation can take place right then and there. Shravana matrena kaivalyam. Possible. Manana nididhyasana may not be required for such an attentive listener. Then manana nididhyasana will become optional sadhanas. The mind is totally immersed. Svamūla charcha. That one should enter into charcha, dialogue, samvada with the guru. There should be active participation between the teacher and the student. This active participation is the teacher is teaching and the student is just soaking it in. That's all. So, svamūla charcha eva satyātma-vicāraṇaṁ syāt. Here, svamūla means the origin of ahaṅkara. And that is the adhisthana atma. That dialogue is called satyātma-vicāraṇaṁ. And that will eliminate, you have that kind of a listening, that will eliminate the mithya ahaṅkara. The illusory ahaṅkara, illusory ego will be eliminated. So this inquiry involves two parts. One part is seeing what I am not, and then the other is seeing what I am. You take every object in the creation, negating each one of these objects as not me, neti, 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 not this, not this, not this. Then you come closer to your body, your mind, your intellect, each of the 5 layers, and negate each one of them. The external objects and then your own, adhyatmika. I take care of them, I use them. Body, mind, intellect, they're all there. I use them, but they are not me. Thus, mano buddhya hankara chittani nāhaṁ. Siddhananda rupaha shivoham shivoham. So there is the nāhaṁ part, not this. And then soham part, that is what I am. Both of them are important. The entire Vedanta Shastra, Vichara is divided into 3 segments. The first segment, Jivatma Vichara, otherwise called Tvampada Vichara. Inquiry into the Jiva or Tvam, you. Arriving at the essential nature of the individual. Then the second part is the Vichara. Second part of Vichara is called Paramatma Vichara, otherwise called Tatpada Vichara. If you are analyzing through Tattvamasi Mahavakya. Tvampada and Tatpada. So the inquiry into the individual and the total are the first 2 segments. The third segment is focusing on the truth, the nature of the individual, the essential nature of the individual, and the essential nature of the total, both of them to be one and the same. The essence of Jivatma is Atma, The essence of Paramatma is Atma. The adjective Jiva and Parama are all incidental. It is all name and form. So drop that. When you remove that incidental natures, the incidental name and form, what you are left is just Atma. That is one and the same. It is like the wave and the ocean. Certain form is there. For that individual form, you give a name as wave, and then the total ocean is there. That to that totality you give the name ocean, but the essence of both is just water. And when you remove the form and the name and just focus on the essence, they are one and the same. Seeing this oneness, that is the third segment of the vichara. This is the aikya vichara. Tat tvam asi, asipada vichara. Therefore, Ramana Maharshi says, Tvampada vichara is the first stage of Vedantic inquiry. The Tvampada vichara is done by eliminating the Panchakosha as incidental attributes. I take each of the koshas or each of the sharira. You can do this in terms of Panchakosha Viveka or Sharira Traya Vichara. And see each of them as just not the essential nature. It's not the intrinsic nature, only incidental. Take the body, for example. This particular body was not there in the previous birth. This will not be there in the future. This is not intrinsic to me. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya, we have seen in Gita. Just like one discards worn out clothes. This gross body, when it is worn out, throw it away, it drops. And then, navani grannati naraha. Man puts on a new set of clothes. Similarly, the subtle body will get a new gross body. Similarly, the sense organs and everything, and say, that is not me, that is not my real nature. So Bhagavan hints at Panchakosha Viveka here, that vichara. He does not elaborately discuss. So the second line talks about Panchakosha Viveka as part of the Tvampada vichara. Etat na mama svarūpaṁ. All that is not my real nature. We should know what all this means. All this means these 5 layers of the personality or the 3 sharira. This body, I can see that. I experience this. Cannot be me. So also the sense organs. I can also see my mind in action. I can experience my thoughts. How can I be that mind? Like this. Neti, neti, na iti, na iti. It's not this, not this. Thus negating, eliminating every object. Whether it is external or internal. You will come to a state when you eliminate everything. You will come to a state of blankness. Eliminate everything, you come to nothing. At that time, you have to take the help of a guru and shastra and point out that silence you expect, that experience, it is not blankness, it is not emptiness. That is experience. That experience of silence is your nature. This is eṣo'hametanna, I. This is I. This objectless consciousness, this objectless awareness is me. I should own up to that nature and that nature alone. The Sakshi Chaitanyam, witness consciousness, that illumines the blankness also, that is me. That consciousness, that awareness, that is illumining all the thoughts. And then when all the objects are removed, no thoughts are there, that blankness, absence of thoughts, that is also illumined. And that is me. That silent consciousness, silent awareness, objectless awareness can never be objectified, because that is you, the very subject. So, etat na mama svarūpaṁ is anātma-nishedha. All this is not my svarūpa. That is negating all the not self, anatma. And eṣo'ha aham is atma-nishchaya, affirmation of my true nature. This is what is said again in Nirvana Shatakam as mano-buddhi ahaṅkara cittani nāhaṁ. Mind, intellect, ahaṅkara, memory, not me. All that is etat na mama svarūpaṁ. And chidananda rupaha shivoham shivoham. That is eṣo'ham. Eṣo'ha aham. Iti pramā, this knowledge. This is the tvampada lakshyartha, the implied meaning, the indicated meaning of the word tvam. The knowledge of the essential nature of the individual. The first stage of satyvicāraṇaṁ, inquiry into the truth. Cannot stop there, because then I will think my consciousness is my essential nature, your consciousness is your essential nature. So, as many bodies are there, as many atmas are there, you will come to that conclusion. That is not the right conclusion. That is Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya philosophy does all that beautifully, comes up to this, and this is where they drop the ball. That is incomplete. Inquiry must continue. I must reach the state, aham sarvagata brahma asmi. I am that Brahman that pervades everything. That is Saddarsanam. That is the vision of the truth. So Ramana Maharshi says, if this vichara is successfully done and Atma Jnana is gained, the ahaṅkara is resolved, it will get eliminated and it will get resolved into satyam, the reality. The illusory dream world gets resolved into the waker. The moment I wake up to my waking state, the dream does not run to the adjacent room where somebody else is sleeping. No, it doesn't happen like that way. It gets dissolved into me only. Because the illusory dream came from me, it gets resolved. So that source is the support and also the dissolution ground. The ahaṅkara rose from Atma because of ignorance, and it will resolve into Atma only. When the ignorance is removed and the knowledge dawns, it will come back. From the ignorance of Atma, the ahaṅkara rises, and upon knowledge, it resolves into Atma. From the ignorance of the rope, the illusory snake arose. Rope is there. You didn't know it was a rope, and you started seeing a snake. So where did the snake come from? From the rope only. And then when you throw light on it, and you know that it is a rope, where did the snake go? Again, it went back to the rope only. Where else did it go? The rope, snake is not there. Where can it go? It is an illusion. So if at all you want to say the snake went somewhere, you got to say it went back into the rope. So from the unknown I arose the ahaṅkara, and it gets dissolved in the known I. So vichara is nothing but that is meant for changing that unknown I to the known I. So continuing, verse number 32. Gaveṣaṇātprāpya hṛdantaraṁ tat. Gaveṣaṇātprāpya hṛdantaraṁ tat. Patedahantā paribhugnaśīrṣā. Patedahantā paribhugnaśīrṣā. athāhamanyat sphurati prakṛṣṭaṁ. athāhamanyat sphurati prakṛṣṭaṁ. nāhaṁkṛtistat parameva pūrṇam. nāhaṁkṛtistat parameva pūrṇam. Bhagavan says, gaveṣaṇāt, through the inquiry, ahanta patet. Ahanta, the ahaṅkara, falls, patet. Gaveṣaṇāt. The ahaṅkara resolves upon inquiry. Where does it go? Hṛdantaraṁ, the inner core of the heart. The adhisthana, the substratum, which we call atma. Hṛdantaraṁ, that which is inside the heart. That is the atma. Yo veda nihitam guhayam parameva vyoman. So that in Taittiriya. So hṛdantaraṁ means this adhisthana atma. hṛdantaraṁ-prāpya. When you gain that, get that, the ahaṅkara will rush towards the atma. This is all poetical expression. When the rope is known, the snake rushes into the rope and disappears. The dream world merges into the waker upon waking up. These are all descriptions. In short, the illusion gets falsified, negated, and the truth alone remains. That's the bottom line. The ahaṅkara falls into hṛdantaraṁ, and there paribhugnaśīrṣā, it crashes. Śīrṣā, head first, headlong, jumps in. These are all graphic description, that's all. When Atma Vichara takes place, ahaṅkara falls as if from a height with Śīrṣā, head first. Paribhugna, turned downward, like a head-on collision. Ahaṅkara crashes head-on into Atma. It's like a subcompact crashing into an 18-wheeler truck. Ahaṅkara is not wearing a crash helmet either. You can imagine what happens to it. Ahaṅkara is blown to smithereens. Ahaṅkara ahanta patet. Destroyed for good. There are so many other methods which dissolves ahaṅkara, but only for the time being. Down but not out. Sleep, alcohol and drug-induced states. Doesn't have to be those tamasic. Other things also. Pranayama, yoga samadhi. They are not tamasic activities. It's born out of good spiritual practices. Even them, even the benefit you get from them, that ahaṅkara, that is all temporary only. That yogi will come out of samadhi, ahaṅkara will pop back. It's not destroyed ahaṅkara. Through knowledge, only through knowledge, you can destroy that ahaṅkara. All the other means, they are only escaping from that. But with knowledge, thereafter, will the jnani use the word aham or not? Of course, he uses the word aham. But when he uses it, he understands that aham is not the ahaṅkara, but it is svarūpaṁ. He will use both words and he knows exactly what it means. He will use it appropriately. He uses the word aham, but the meaning is reshuffled. And the new meaning of aham atma asmi, satchidananda aham asmi, mayyeva sakalam jatam, mayi sarvam pratishtitam, mayi sarvam layam yati, tat brahma advayam aham. I am not the body that is born, that was born into this world. I am not that body which will drop. No. I am the Atma into which the world is born. May recall in Atma Bodha, Shankaracharya says, Upadhane akiladhare jaganti parameshware sargastiti layan yanti budbudhaniva varini. So the entire thing is just a bubble. They are born in me. They stay in me. And they dissolve into me. So this aham, Bhagavan calls it the new aham. The old aham is ahaṅkara. The new aham is atma. Therefore he says, thereafter, jnana anantaram, after the dawn of knowledge, then anyat aham sphurati, another, a different, a new I. The small crooked I is gone and the big infinite Atma is born, as it were. Okay. It is sphurati. Absolutely evident to him, shines. He does not have to close his eyes to recognize the Atma. He doesn't have to open his eyes to recognize the Atma. As he goes on transacting in the world, he never forgets his real nature. Does not have to sit in samadhi to be Atma. I am Atma all the time. Sphurati, evident, shining. Prakṛṣṭaṁ, extremely evident. In and through all the experiences. Atma-jnana is not a particular experience. It is evident in all experiences. Because consciousness is there in every experience. Pratibodha viditam matam. We saw it in Kenopanishad. Jnani is aware of the ever-experienced consciousness. In and through all worldly experiences. It is evidently. It is evident. It is effortlessly evident. So the glory of this new I, tat na aham kritihi. It's different from ahaṅkara because Ahaṅkara is limited, finite. It has its personality. That is called, maybe called father, it may be called mother, or daughter, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, so many things. It is karta, the doer, bhokta, enjoyer, all that is there. And above all that is mahasamsari. But the new I, none of that, not limited, not finite. It is neither mrityuhu, na shanka, na me jati bedaha. Not a brahmana, not a kshatriya, not a vaishya or a shudra. Chidananda rupaha shivoham shivo. Not ahaṅkara, it is parama pūrṇa sat, param pūrṇam eva, it is absolute. It's not a relative entity. It is not an empirical entity. In fact, we should even take out the word subject. Even though initially we say Atma is the subject and everything else is the object. That is all during the learning phase to describe it in so many words. So even the word subject should not use. Because the moment you say subject, then there will be an object. That subject-object dichotomy will be there. If you say drik, then it is different from drishyam. The seer is different from the seen. All that problems will come. If you say atma, it is different from anatma. Whatever you say, there is a division. So the word param means no word should be used. Even the word sat, chit, ananda differentiated from asat, achit and dukkha. No words can be used. So it is param, it is pūrṇam, without any limitation. So the word pūrṇam is not adjective. If it were, then atma will become saguna. Pūrṇam indicates absence of all attributes. It's like saying bald head, where the word bald is not a positive attribute. It indicates absence of all hair. Similarly, pūrṇam is not another guna of Atma, it is absence of all gunas. After gaining this knowledge, I am the Atma, I am Satchidananda Swarupaha. When we come to transaction, we will put on costume and play the role. That's all. You never forget what is your true nature. There is no subject, object, nothing. And that state, it is only Advaitam. Figuratively presented that Atma replaces Ahaṅkara. The higher I replaces the lower I. How do you practically feel this difference? Do you see in that person's heart the old Ahaṅkara is gone and its place a new Aham with added light is shining? What changes? What happens? The change is nothing but a change in understanding, that's all. Change in my perspective of myself. Dethrone the Ahaṅkara and put in place Pattabhishekam, crowning of Atma. Nothing but a change in understanding, that's all. Before, I thought I was this miserable Jivatma. I took myself to be finite, limited. And because of that, everything that I did just reflected this misunderstanding. I misunderstood myself and then was doing so many things, suffering. That misunderstanding is replaced now. Proper understanding of what I am. So there is a dramatic change in the way I look at myself. And this dramatic, radical change is reflected in everything that I do, every transaction I do. There will be a change in motivation behind every act. This change is like a regime change. The administration has changed. This is what is figuratively said. When it is said, Atma replaces ahaṅkara. The second thing we should remember is when we talk about removal of ahaṅkara, it does not mean it is totally destroyed. Okay? I get this question all the time. What happens? Ahaṅkara, then will he not do anything? The jnani. No. It only means the position has been scaled down. It's now demoted. Ahaṅkara that was considered to be the master, the ruler, a jnani makes it as an instrument for transaction. That's all. Now, he is the master, he is the swami. And ahaṅkara is a dasa. He is a servant. That's all. The jnani clearly knows the role of ahaṅkara. He knows it is a mithya medium. It is a medium. Its illusory nature he knows. And he knows, I am the master, I am the Atma, I am the Satyam. Ahaṅkara is just an instrument that I use. As long as Jivan Mukta, while living, the ahaṅkara will be there, but he knows he is not that ahaṅkara. It is a tool in his hand, that's all. And that ahaṅkara will go away in Videha Mukti. When the prarabdha gets exhausted, he drops his body. With that ahaṅkara will go. For the short period of time, he will be a Jivan Mukta Purusha. Jnani knows that. And he knows that mithya ahaṅkara is more than enough for all the mithya transactions in this mithya world. For the illusory sickness in the dream, the illusory medicine is enough to cure the sickness. Right? The jnani knows the mithya ahaṅkara is necessary for worldly transaction. In the dream, if you are thirsty, you need to take only the dream water to quench that thirst. You're having a dream and you are thirsty, you cannot reach to your nightstand, pick up the glass of water that you have kept there. That wouldn't even help. In the same way, jnani knows. Mithya ahaṅkara is there, I will use it. The world is all illusory. For that transaction, I will use this ahaṅkara. But I am that Brahman. But even to say aham brahmasmi, one needs the ahaṅkara. To be Brahman. To say I am Brahman, you need ahaṅkara. But to be Brahman, I do not need ahaṅkara. To teach the student tattvamasi, the Brahmanishta guru needs ahaṅkara. The guru, he needs ahaṅkara to tell the student. So for any transaction, including this upadesha, ahaṅkara is needed. That Brahmanishta jnani who is teaching, he uses the ahaṅkara. But he knows he is Brahman. He just puts on that ahaṅkara costume when he is transacting in the world. What is said in next verse, verse 33. ahaṅkṛtṁ yo lasati grasityā ahaṅkṛtṁ yo lasati grasityā kim tasya karyam parishishtamasti kim tasya karyam parishishtamasti kinchit vijanati nātmano'nyat kinchit vijanati nātmano'nyat tasya stitim bhavachitum kshamah tasya stitim bhavachitum kshamah. When this replacement takes place, when the regime change takes place, the ahankara replaced by atma, jnani enjoys pūrṇatvam. Total satisfaction is there. With regard to himself or herself, athāhamanyeva atmani eva atmana tuṣṭah. Therefore, the jnani has no more struggle in life for accomplishing anything. Mission accomplished. Send a text message to God. You send me here for the mission to know myself, and I have completed that mission. Then he is available for the Lord's mission. Jnani is like a flute in the hands of Lord Sri Krishna. Flute is empty inside, but when he plays the flute, beautiful music comes out. Similarly, there is no ahankara for the jnani, but when the Lord plays through him, there is welfare in the society. When that ahankara ego blocks, what comes out is disharmony, discord only. The family, society, everything. Jnani stands out in the society, but he is unlike the majority of people. So Ramana Maharshi says, Yaha, the one who, here a jnani, who has conducted this atma-vicara, the self-inquiry, ahaṅkṛtṁ grasityā, swallows the ahankara, meaning he has reduced ahankara to a false entity, a mithya vastu, falsified ahankara. Dream world is swallowed when we wake up. We understand the dream was an illusion, it was false. Having done that and placed Atma in its place, took out ahankara and installed Atma, lasati, shines. He stands out, he excels. Not only that, tasya kim karyam parishishtam asti. What other work is there left for him? Kim karyam asti? Not a question, it's a rhetorical question. There is nothing more. Nothing more for him to accomplish. Accomplish the parama purushartha. Moksha his gain. Attain the infinite. So the finite dharmartha kama is all included in that. The other three purusharthas, all included in that. When he has accomplished parama purushartha, he has no desires, no duties, no longer a karta, no longer a bhokta. He is a krita. He has done all that needs to be done. Nothing more there is for him to do. The third chapter, Bhagavan says, 17th verse, Yasvatma-ratireva syāt atma-truptasya manavah atmanyeva cha santuṣṭah tasya karyam na vidyate. The one who is reveling in the self, content in the self, for him there is no kartavyam. In Upadeshas also we saw Bhagavan had said, Nashtamanaso utkrishta yoginah krityamastikim swastitim yatah. That person, he who has destroyed, Nashtamanasa, who has destroyed the mind, and he is abiding in his own self, in his true nature. Krityamastikim, what is there? Swastitim yataha, when he is abiding in his own true nature. What is there for him to do? No more duties for him to perform. These are all description of a Jivan Mukta. This is Atma-vicara jnana phalam. Saha atmanaha anyat kinchit na vijanati. Does not perceive anything other than Atma. The entire vision is of that Atma. He is Advaitam. There is nothing else. Everything is Atma, in front, back, up, down. Atma eva idam sarvam. That's what it is. Then what about all that is I am experiencing? All anatma that is seen as not non-substantial name and form only. They are all superimposed on the Atma. Like all dream objects, they are not different from the waker. The waker only has projected all that. Vishvam darpana drashyamana nagari tulyam nijantargatam pashyannātmani māyaya bahirivod bhutam yata nidraya et sakshat kurute prabodha samaye swātmanamevadvayam. We saw that in Dakshinamurti Stotra. Jnani does not see anything other than Atma. World is experienced as Atma, superimposed with names and forms. If you want to clearly know the state of mind of a jnani, only one method. You become one. That's all. So he says, tasya sitim bhavachitum kakshamaha. Who is capable of visualizing the state of a Jivan Mukta? Who, kaha, kshamaha, is capable. Bhavachitum, visualizing. Tasya sitim, that state of mind. Of course, nobody can imagine except it has to be experienced by a Jivan Mukta. Nobody else can understand his mind. He does not expect anyone to do that either. The world people complain, nobody understands me. Luckily, Jivan Mukta will not have such complaints either. The vision of Jivan Mukta is Saddarsanam. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shante Shante Shante. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi